Hello everyone, my name is Dave Partner. Welcome to your next tutorial on JavaScript. In this tutorial, we will look at functions, and that's before we look at the completing part of variables, where we will look at variable scope, because we need to understand functions before we can actually truly understand the meaning of variable scopes. So in this tutorial, I'll first of all try and cover functions, then we'll get back to variables and cover variable scopes. I'm teaching you this in such a way that you will really easily understand it. So this is our index.html file, and we have this. This helps us to run JavaScript code. So if you want to run JavaScript code right directly inside your HTML file, this is where you type it. Alright, and I'll start typing. I'll create a function. A function is basically, let's say add two numbers. Let's just call this function add. A function is basically a block of code, that is reusable and can be used only at will. So we have these three main features of functions, and there are a few other things we could learn about functions as we proceed in this video tutorial. Let's see. We're trying to do something. Let's say we're trying to write a code that adds any two numbers. So we can say, since we're expecting two numbers, just take this function as a container. In JavaScript, a function is the same thing as a subroutine or methods. In some languages, there are some programming languages that call their own functions methods. Some call theirs subroutines, but in JavaScript, it's called functions. Alright, now we have that sorted out. We're trying to write a function that adds any two numbers, so that anywhere in our code, maybe if we're building a website, anywhere in our website and that we need to add two numbers, we'll just call the function and it will do the calculation automatically. So we're expecting two numbers. Let's just call the first one number 1 and number 2. Two numbers will enter in, and what will come out. Functions usually have a return statement. A return statement is what value is passed out. So we're passing in parameters. We're passing in arguments as parameters, then we are returning the output. So let's say what will come out eventually will be well, let's say answer. Our answer should be number 1 times number 1 times number 2. Okay, wow, this is addition, so we will just do a plus. Alright, so we will return our answer, and we're sorted. So anytime anybody passes any two numbers, let's say 3 and 4, it will quickly add these two numbers, save the answer here, and then print it here. So remember that these are variables. I can name mine anything. I can name this anything, and it will still work perfectly. Okay, so the next thing you need to know about functions is that nothing will happen until you call the function. You call or invoke. In JavaScript, in programming, you call a function, or you can say you invoke the function. Alright, so I'll show you how to do that briefly, but let me just run a page and show you that nothing happens. I will refresh and nothing happens. That's because we have not actually used this function. We just defined it. It's just like a defined variable. You've not used it. Alright, and the next thing we need to do is actually to call it. So to call a function, you just write the name, pass in the parameters, and you pass in the arguments, then you put a semicolon at the end. So what we have is, we actually want to use this. So we want to add two numbers. Let's say 3 plus 9, and of course nothing will still happen, but it's actually now doing the calculation. Let's say 3 plus 9, refresh. nothing happens because we are not outputting anything to the screen yet. So let's just say that we want to print out something. For instance, we want to print out the answer document. Right. We want to print out anything. So the answer should be printed for us on the screen. I want to comment this out just to show you that nothing will happen until we call it. We get back and we refresh and nothing happens, but then we get back and we actually have this, and I've saved it. We'll refresh, and what we have here is 12, because you should know, but in case you don't know, a comment is a way to tell the computer not to run a certain part of the code. So in JavaScript, this is how you add comments. I know if you're coming from HTML, you're used to this kind of way to add comments. This is how to add comments in HTML, but JavaScript is very much like PHP. In JavaScript, you add comments by putting this double /, or you can add a multi-line comment by doing this. You put your / asterisk, then you put asterisk at the end with your / again. Alright, so what we have, let me just use this here just to show you. So what we have is we have this function taking in two variables, two parameters, and then adding both of them together and writing to the screen. So we just had it declared here, and then right here we are calling it, and whenever we call it, it will run everything inside here and print out to the screen. So that's what is happening here. So these things have names. For instance, when we're declaring the function, we're using variables because we don't know the actual value. So these variables are not actual values, they are called parameters. But then when we actually invoke the function, when we call it, whatever value we pass here is called arguments. So 3 and 9 are arguments, and number 1 and number 2 are parameters. Okay, so this is how to this is what a function is, and as you can see, it's very simple. In JavaScript, you can use a function wherever you can use, or wherever you want to use, any place you can use a variable, you can use a function right there. Okay, and if you use a function without putting a bracket, it will output the declaration of the function. So let's try and do something interesting. We'll do document .write, and then we do this, and then we run, we refresh. What we have is this function outputs the declaration we have in the whole function, as you can see. So it outputs exactly what we have here, from here to here. So but the moment we add a these brackets, it actually processes whatever information we pass in. So I want to adjust this function a little by removing the parameters. First of all, let's we remove the parameters. Let's delete all this junk. Delete. So we remove the parameters, but then actually here we declare them. We declare var number 1 equals to 3, number 2 equals to 9, and we have 1 and 2. This function will still do the same thing. Once you invoke it, it will assign this 3 to this variable, and assign 9 to this variable, and then add the 2, save them here, and print out. Let's just see what happens. This time it doesn't need any parameters, so we delete this one that needs a parameter, and then we'll run document.write. Then we'll just call the function and see what will happen. So we call the function, we refresh, and we have an undefined error. Let's see. Alright, we have an error because we are printing twice. We don't need this. because we're already doing document.write inside here. So we just call this function right here and save. I've saved. We'll go and run it. So we have our 12 back again. Alright, so guess what will happen if we actually call the function before we declare it? Assuming we have this here, and it means that we are calling a function we have not declared. The parser will run like this. The computer will read this code like this, get to this place, see that we're calling a function. What does the computer do? Does it throw up an error? No. When JavaScript is reading functions, it reads the whole page first, fetches all the functions, everything it needs before it starts processing the function. So that we have a function, we are calling a function we have not used. Doesn't make any difference. Let's say we save, we get to our browser, then we refresh, and we still have our 12 here. Alright, so that's it on functions. In the next video tutorial, we'll start looking at we might get back to variable scopes and finish it up. Thank you very much. See you in the next video tutorial. Don't forget that if you have any questions, you can always post them on davepartner.com and just locate the particular topic you need at the bottom of the page and click and post a new question. So thank you very much. See you in the next video.